Here we
Running
go.
health checks. Okay.
Yeah, you're looking good. Yep, there we go. Hello and welcome to That Was the Week That Was it? The podcast that really should call its mother more often. Joining me for this episode is Hayley Pettit. Hello, Hayley. How are you?
Oh, hello. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah. It's been a long day, but yeah, we got there. We got there in the end. But it's not about me. It's not about me. That's not about me. So our guest for this episode is a singer, musician, songwriter, and official legend. It's Curtis Stigers. Oh my God, Curtis, how are you?
Legend. I still can't get used to that. I mean, all you really have to do in this business is just not die, and you're a legend. It's like
the fact that you keep hearing it though must mean something, surely.
It does. It means I'm even more embarrassed each time. But thank you very much for saying that. And I'm well. I'm recovered. I was in London a couple of weeks ago, kicking off my new album. And that was great. I played at Ronnie Scott's. The album was released while we were there, and got home the night I landed. I tested positive for COVID.
Oh,
you got thank you.
COVID.
I had special London Cockney COVID. Yeah,
Cockney
it rhymes.
Yeah.
No, I thought if I took it out of the UK that maybe you would all be better off, but I'm pretty sure you're not. You're well. I tried. I did my darndest
with you. That's fine. So yeah, you mentioned your new album, This Life, isn't it? It came out on the 25th of February. Is that right?
It did.
Yeah.
It's a 30-year look back at my time in showbiz, in the record business.
Nice.
My first album that had, I Wonder Why and You're All That Matters to Me. That album came out 30 years ago, and they've been showing old Top of the Pops appearances on TV, on BBC, whatever. And I've been hearing about it on Twitter and having to look at myself in a waistcoat with all that long hair, and it's
luscious,
beautiful locks, beautiful.
It was, yeah. It was never a mullet, by the way. I want you to make note of that right now.
No, it wasn't. It was clearly not a mullet. It was
clearly
a proper 90s long hair. You wore it well. You look like a lion. Beautiful. Now we've both listened to the album, and I don't know about you, Hayley, but I've had a particularly stressful week. I've got to be honest with you. It's not been particularly nice. But as soon as I put that album on, that seemed to just go because it's so smooth. It's just
that's what I keep hearing, is that it's a calming record. I didn't really set out to do that, but I have found as I've gotten older and older that whispering is much louder than yelling. When I was a kid, when I sang I Wonder Why that first time, I mean, it was in a super high key. I was just I just wanted to prove that I was the best damn blue-eyed soul singer ever. And basically I was just screaming my 25-year-old or 24-year-old little head off. And these days I find that a story can be told by just telling it to one person. I had a record producer called Larry Klein once told me that going into the studio about 12 years ago. He said, when you go in to sing this song, sing it to just one person. And my head exploded. It was like, of course, that's exactly what I've been doing and what I want to do more of. So it's a whisper outshouts a scream any day of the week. And, although I have to say, and I'm sorry to take over your show, but when you say that when you tell a jazz musician he sounds smooth in the jazz world, and this is, don't worry, you're not the first person. Brits tend to say, oh yeah, it's very smooth, but smooth jazz is a genre here in the United States, and it's a whole different. It's kind of like it sort of has gotten the connotation of being elevator music, and whilst I don't mind elevators, I think having a lift in a building is a very important thing. I don't like walking upstairs. However,
the music
try like cool or mellow.
The thing is,
mellow's good.
Yeah, the problem is I'm a Brit, and me saying cool doesn't really work that particularly well. So
what would you say instead of cool?
I'm going to say it was jolly nice, Curtis. It sounded bloody lovely. It was like having warm Nutella poured into my ears. It was beautiful. So what? You can have that quote. So what?
Yeah, I will. I'm putting that on the next record. Yeah.
So what made you choose to jazzify your 30 years of song? Was it just I want to do it just like, as you say, just a nice mellow version? I'm not going to say smooth.
Don't say smooth.
No, or was it just a case of it's what I like to listen to now, so this is what I'm going to do? Was it that kind of thing?
Well, to be honest, this album, the arrangements on this album have been in the works for 20 years. I've been making records for 30 years. The first 10 years I made 3 pop records, and I say that in, air quotes, whatever. 2 of them were kind of Blue-Eyed Soul. The second one was kind of fighting to be more singer-songwriter, but being pushed against by the record company. The third one, I got onto another label and got to make the singer-songwriter pop record that I wanted to make. But that record only sold 10 copies. My mom bought 3 of those copies. And I realized the pop world wasn't really for me, and it wasn't waiting up late anymore for my next record to come out. The time had moved on. I grew up singing jazz, playing jazz. I studied jazz in college. I went to college on a jazz scholarship. That's, it's who I have been. It's a part of me. I also, was a punk rock drummer and a rhythm and blues saxophonist, and
the punk rock thing, I find that so fascinating because it's kind of
I was an outcast. I was a musician, a young musician who hung out with outcasts, and we got into prog rock because no one else liked prog rock, and we were the only kids at school who liked prog rock. That was sort of in my early teens, and then about 15 years old, I got a call from a band from across town that went to another school, the cooler school, the weirdo school. And they said, "Hey, we need a drummer tonight for this party we're playing. Can you come over and practice with us?" And okay, sure. And I showed up, and they were playing Sex Pistols songs and Stranglers songs and Devo and The Clash, and it was like, oh my God, this is even more outcast than prog rock. And I don't have to play in so many weird time signatures. So I still put on something better changed by the Stranglers and dance around my house like I'm a smart ass 15-year-old kid. I just love the attitude and the angst and the anger and the fun of new wave and punk rock.
Nice.
It's part of my soul. However, at the same time I was doing that, I was playing saxophone in the jazz band, and I was going to jazz jam sessions and things like that. So it never occurred to me to just play one type of music. I love different types of music. I love Stevie Wonder and Led Zeppelin and Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, and I love a lot of types of music. So I've always wanted to play the different types. Anyway, back to your original question. The reason this record sounds like this is because for the last 20 years, I have been making jazz records quietly, because they don't put a lot of jazz singers on the BBC. I every now and then I get on a TV show and remind people that I'm still alive and of what I'm doing. And they do occasionally call me a jazz legend now, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah,
but these songs, when I started making jazz records, I realized I still had to play I Wonder Why. It was my hit. It was a song I wrote. Yeah. People come out to hear that. They come out to hear You're All That Matters to Me. I had to figure out a way to play these songs with a jazz quintet. That's what I've done over the last 20 years. We've created these arrangements on stage, at sound checks, at rehearsals. We've built this record. So by the time I went in to make this record, walk into the studio with this record, it was ready to play. It wasn't like we had to figure out how to play these songs. We've been playing them on stage for, as long as 20 years, some of them.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, they sound really good as jazz composition.
Yeah, they do.
They're just
very kind. I think a good song, you can take a good song apart and put it back together as jazz. You can put it back together as country. There are plenty of ways to do a good song. Not to say that there aren't good songs that I couldn't figure out a way to do. I mean, it'd be kind of hard to come up with a non-tacky, corny, naff version of, say, Stairway to Heaven or something. I wouldn't want to do that. There are certain songs you just got to, let's not. But there are a lot of great songs out there that wouldn't be considered jazz that you can make into jazz.
Yeah. I mean, that's be a good idea for an album as well. Just stick a load of songs that people didn't expect.
Yeah, well, it has happened. Paul Anka made a record some years back, and it was like a big band swing record, and he did some really corny ass things. I mean, it was like, ouch. Oof.
Actually, saying that Richard Cheese does very much what I just
Richard Cheese is so great. Oh, I'm so glad you know Richard Cheese.
Oh, he's amazing. I love his work. So much.
What Lounge Against the Machine?
Yes, his version of Down with the Sickness is just incredible, and
he's great. He's a funny guy. I follow him on Twitter, and he makes me laugh.
Yeah. I'll just sort of mention as well, because Peace, Love and Understanding being the opening of the album, that is incredibly apt at the moment.
Yeah, sadly, it keeps coming back to mean something after all these years. That's a Nick Lowe song. Nick wrote that when he was in a band called Brinsley Schwartz, and he originally recorded it with Brinsley Schwartz. Then, of course, Elvis Costello recorded the iconic, the greatest version for his album Armed Forces. I recorded the version that made Nick Lowe the most money. In that, I was lucky enough to be on Arista Records in the early 90s when they put out the soundtrack to The Bodyguard, the movie The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. And I had a slot on that record. I wrote several songs for it, and the president of the company, Clive Davis, kept it, no, that's all wrong. No, write another one. And eventually he heard me play What's So Funny About Peace, Love and Understanding at a concert, at the end of a concert, because I just used it as a kind of a set closer. And he said, that's it. What is that? He didn't even know the song at all, but and it made it on the record, and it made Nick Lowe, a couple of £1 million or £1 million or something. And he called me up and said, Curtis, thank you so much. And so I've been friends with Nick Lowe since the early 90s because of that. He made all the money. My money either went to my ex-wife or my record company spending too much money on my next record. But
fair enough.
It's worth getting to have a cup of tea with Nick Lowe every now and then.
And also that version on the Bodyguard soundtrack, I got to say, is a absolute banger. It really is, because I became slightly obsessed with the Bodyguard soundtrack because it was the first 15 certificate film I snuck into. I was only 13 years old, and it became my mind was blown. I was like, oh, but then I tried it.
What's funny is, what was bad in that movie there were like a couple of attempted murders, and maybe she wore a bustier or something. I don't know. There was
there's not much in there. I mean, to be honest, because I thought, well, that's it, I've cracked it, and then the week later I went to see Under Siege, or tried to see Under Siege.
Oh, you got caught, didn't you?
Yeah, they said, are you over 15? And I went, yes, no. And then I had to walk out. So it's very embarrassing.
Hopefully you've gotten better at lying since then.
That's bad.
So much better. Yeah. 43 years old. I've got it down to a T now. Anyway, we are here to talk about your week mainly, Curtis, to be honest with you. That's why we got you here. So the week last week, we're going to break it down day by day. So Monday, how was that for you?
Well, my week has been different than most in that for the first half of this week, I was still in COVID lockdown. So my week was very isolated. However, all right. So Monday, you want me to just kick in? Is that what I do here? Is that how this baby works?
Absolutely.
All right. So Monday, I'm sure the dogs woke me up. The dogs always wake me up. We have four. May I say 4 fucking dogs? Can I say that on the podcast?
You may say your heart out.
It's a sickness having a lot of dogs. I blame my wife, although I love our dogs, and I take care of them and love them very much. But it's is crazy that we have 4. We started the pandemic with 3 dogs. And then my wife, in the middle of the night, she runs a homeless shelter, very stressful jobs. She gets up in the middle of the night to save people's lives, via the phone, and can't get back to sleep. So she surfs, who goes on the internet, and she found an auction for a charity that she was very fond of. She bid up the auction. She said it was just to bid it up, just to make them more money. And she was sure no one else bid. So we ended up with a Bernie Doodle. Yeah, Bernie Doodle puppy who has turned out, he's only a year old, and he is our largest dog now. He's enormous, very sweet, very smart, very sensitive, totally understands when he's done wrong things, when he's done things wrong, but still does them. He's like, he's one of those guys that he does the thing and then apologizes later. It's like, oh, sorry about that. It just looked like it needed to be eaten.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. And
it is, especially if you're cute and fluffy and have big brown eyes.
I mean, we've only got the one dog. We've got a pug. And
nice. Love pugs.
And I can't imagine having 4 dogs because
it's madness. We have 2 tiny ones. We've got a 2-pound Morkie. She's a Maltese Yorkie, and she's almost 13, or she just turned 12, I guess. And she terrifies everyone in the house. She's mean. We have a 70-pound dog who is absolutely terrified of her. She has no teeth anymore, so she can't actually hang off of their lip with her teeth like she used to. But she is just horrifying. And then we've got a little Yorkie poo and a Portuguese water dog who's about 50 pounds, and then this behemoth puppy. It's not right. It's wrong. But it's fun. So they wake me up Monday morning and every morning. Probably with or maybe it was because my wife, who unfortunately on Monday was sleeping down the hall in the guest bedroom.
Oh, of course,
So when she gets up, they go berserk and bark, and that wakes me up. And then I'm like, all right, start the day. Oh no. I'm locked down still.
You can't go anywhere.
I'm still stuck. I'm still stuck in the bedroom. It's a nice bedroom. It's got a little office off of it. That's where I keep, my computer's there, so I can do my work. And there's a toilet, a restroom, whatever you call it, a toilet, I guess, a bathroom. It's a bathroom, for Christ's sake. It's got a bath.
Shitter, accepted shitter.
Yeah.
It's the crapper. So it wasn't like I was suffering, but just by that point, by Monday, I'd been isolated for 7 days. And oh my God.
It's a bit wearing. So,
so once my wife was off and running and out to her job, I was able to go downstairs and make a nice cup of tea, as a proper Anglophile will.
Yes,
I drink PG Tips tea. Thank you very much.
Good.
And then somebody from Yorkshire would say, "Oh, that's not Yorkshire."
I mean,
Yorkshire tea is better.
Yorkshire tea is better, but it depends what's available to you. I mean, I'm going to ask you the etiquette now, just to test your British skills. How do you make the tea?
Good question.
Kurt. I don't know. I turn on the electric kettle. And,
okay, good. You have a kettle.
I won.
That's good.
Oh God, yes.
You don't heat it up in the microwave.
No, God, no. Oh no. I'm an electric kettle guy. I mean, it's how easy is it? It's so actually, and I maybe cheat, and this will probably get some. So this will cause some eye rolls. But I have one of those. Hot water on demand things. We bought this wonderful
we'll
house.
Allow that. We'll allow that.
So you put that in the kettle, and then your water boils like that. It's just like boom. I mean, kettles work pretty fast. However, we have lower. I just found this out actually on the tweets on the Twitter this week that in fact we have lower wattage than you do. So that's for years I couldn't figure out why the hell it took me so much longer to boil water here than it did in the UK, and it's because you are hoarding all the electricity.
Yeah, we've got it.
That's right.
Twice as much than you.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
That really pisses me off.
Yeah, we're guilty as charged, literally charged, but yeah.
Literally charged.
We won't be able to afford it for much longer, will we, Alex? So.
No, that's true. Yeah. We won't. No, we won't.
So you seem to be better at shooting yourselves in the foot than we are, actually.
Very much so. But then it is what? You've boiled the kettle.
Yes. Then I just put a tea bag, because I don't go through I don't do the loose tea thing. It's just
okay. No, that's fine.
I don't have enough. I just don't have enough time to make a pot of tea.
You're winning so far. So yes.
All right. Okay. And then so just I pour the hot water right in on the. I'm waiting to be shot down here. So I pour the water. I pour the water down onto the tea bag, right? And then it steeps. I give it a couple of minutes at least.
Yes. Good.
Nice.
And then I take the tea bag out and I put 2% milk in it.
Okay.
Which is semi-skimmed in your world.
No, that's absolutely fine. You are officially an Englishman. Well done, Curtis.
Wow. Could I have done better though? Is there something I could have done a little better? Look at you. You're looking now. You're really looking for something.
Possibly, yeah. But then I'm not a connoisseur. I'm a man who. I mean, I'm northern. I basically.
What would you do differently, Alex?
I leave the tea bag in all the way. Because I'm northern. I'm an idiot.
My ex-wife used to do that, and it used to drive me crazy. So I think that's probably why. It was like, what do you do? It leaves a mess. And it gets stronger and stronger as by that last drink. It almost causes the gag reflex. It's such strong tea that
the grounds for divorce there is quite high there. So that's what happened. But...
that's what did it.
Is that it? The tea bag, get out.
Did it?
So. The COVID did that basically took up all of Monday? Was Tuesday any better?
But the rest of Monday though, I did work. I was alone with the dogs, and they were fine with me being in the same room with them. So I set up my microphone and my lights and my Zoom I did a TV that day, actually, a TV news thing that day via the internet. And then a bunch of audio interviews. So I was working through it. By that point, by Monday, I was, past being sick. I did get pretty sick for the first couple of days, but thanks to a triple vax, I didn't die. I didn't end up in the hospital. I didn't end up intubated. So
who'd have thought that'd work? Eh?
Yeah. Well, apparently not an incredibly high number of people in the state where I live, which is one of the most conservative states in the union.
You'll be all right, Curtis. I mean, you're vaccinated. It's fine. You should have just gone running in the streets and just coughed on everyone.
yeah, really. Oh, yeah. So vaccines don't work. Try this. Anyway, so I did a lot of work during that. I even worked on an arrangement of a song. By then I was okay. I spend a lot of time playing my guitar these days because of COVID, because of the lockdown. I spend a lot of time making music at home, because I haven't been on the road as much as I normally. So I'd say by the end of the day, I'd done all those things, maybe worked on an arrangement of the song. And then I have to, when my wife calls and says, I'm going to come home in 20 minutes, I have to go back and quarantine myself. That's what I do. And then she comes home and makes me dinner, which is very, very nice of her after a long day's work, because she doesn't want me in the kitchen,
making a mess.
Making a mess. I mean, I'm pretty good. Actually, she's the mess maker. Let's be honest here, people. She's the one who makes a mess, but I won't be there. I'm not there to clean up after her. No, just because of the virus. We were really being careful that she didn't get it, because a lot of people depend on her to not have COVID. So, and we managed. She's still testing negative, so we got through it. So that's the end of the day. So then she brings me this Monday. This was a good one, actually. This is very interesting. Monday, she brings the food up and runs into the room with a mask on. I've got a mask and I'm in the bathroom, and she puts it down and then runs out. And then we've been watching a British show. We're probably only going to get through Monday because I talk so fucking much.
No, it's fine, mate. I mean, as long as it takes.
We've been watching. We got into British police shows. We started with Ben Coppers. What's his name? The show with Aidan. Sorry, it's going to come to me. I swear, it's called. Oh, it was about oh, damn it, I can't think of it. Anyway, we got into cop shows, sorry, and all British cop shows. We watched the first episode of this one, and we watched the whole version of this one, and I'm just trying to think of. We watched Happy Valley, that was great. We watched what's the huge one, the one with
Line of Duty.
Thank you. See,
there we go.
Sorry, if I would just shut up, you could just get a word in edgeways. So that was the first one we watched, and we loved it. It was completely mad and over the top. And I mean, somebody said it's flawless. I was like, it's not flawless. It's ridiculous. I mean, she's running down the street with that giant gun and shooting people, and no, that's not real. But it was great. And Aiden, whatever his name is, Aiden, the guy who, the Irish guy. There's one thing and one thing only I care about. It's busting was it bent coppers? Anyway,
Brilliant.
Bent coppers. All right, so we got to the last one we watched. The most recent we watched was called Unforgotten, and this was a beautiful show. This was it was 4 episodes of an office at of police. I'm not even saying any of that right, but it's basically they take on historical cases, murder cases. So they'll every series, each of the 4 series starts with them finding a skeleton somewhere, and then you go through the process. And it's a police procedural, but it was so heartbreaking, and the way the people whose loved one or friend or enemy died, or how they found out about it, really played into it. All the heartbreak, all the emotion. We really got into this show, except we got to the end of the 4th season when I was in the middle of COVID, and we really wanted to watch it. So my wife on Monday night is downstairs in the living room, just below me, just below our bedroom upstairs. And we got our cell phones and we queued up the show to start exactly at the same time.
That.
And there's the even better and more ridiculously embarrassing part is that there's a theme song at the beginning, and it's actually like a little dark little pop song. I can't remember who sings it, but it's all we do is hide away. All we do is hide away. And we've gotten to the point where we sing it when we're sitting next to each other on the couch. It's just our ritual. We sing this little spooky little pop song as the show starts. So we did that over the phone. I put it on speaker. She put it on speaker, and we got it exactly right. And we sang the goddamn song. That's how cute we are.
So cute. So cute.
Painfully cute.
And then I don't want to. I hate to be a. Well, I don't want to. The last episode is devastating. It's just like, and so we're there. She's downstairs. I'm upstairs. We can't hug. We can't cry together, and it's devastating. We could not believe how it ended. This is spoiler. I'm sorry, but and we were just like. So then we call each other because we've hung up. We didn't stay on the line for the whole show. Occasionally we'll text each other, but I call her and she's crying and I'm crying and we're like, how can they do that to us? And we couldn't even hug. So
that's
anyway,
terrible timing.
That's my Monday. I don't know how we're getting through the rest of the week.
It's wonderful. Oh no, that's great. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I get it. You have to watch these things together as a pair. You can't jump ahead. Although I watched one episode of a series just come out on BBC called This Is Going to Hurt, which is with Ben Whishaw. It's a hospital comedy drama. And I thought, I'll just watch the first episode without my wife. It'll be fine. I ended up binge watching the entire 6 episodes in one sitting while she was working in the other room. And I was like, I'll just not mention the program to her at all.
Don't say it. Yeah, there are certain shows that if especially if you've started a show together and you can't go ahead. You can't. We started. Actually, I watched the entire series, or is it 2 series or 3? I think it was only 2 of Ted Lasso, which I don't know if you've seen that, but it's massive in the States. I know it's probably not the perfect, football wise, it's probably not exactly. I'm sure there are a lot of this is wrong and that's wrong, but it just we really needed it. I watched it by myself, and then my wife watched the first episode with me and didn't like it, so she didn't watch it. But I made enough of her friends said, no, you've got to give it another chance. So we watched that together. And if I had gone ahead, even though I'd seen the whole series once before, if I'd have gone ahead, it may have been grounds for divorce.
Yeah. I mean, I'm keeping the fact that I'm watching the latest Bob's Burgers first, and then just saying, "Oh, the new one's on them," and then watching it together.
Don't tell.
No,
God,
don't
I
tell.
love Bob's Burgers.
It's amazing. That's
a hilarious show.
Oh God,
my God.
I've binge watched it so many times, and it's just
great.
The way it flows. And the movie's out in May, and I'm so excited.
Oh, good.
Yes,
I haven't been able to. I don't think I'm going to ever be able to convince my wife to watch that. She's not really into animated stuff, and I think that alone, mixed with, I mean, there's a certain thing with couples. Sometimes it's like, well, if you like that, I'm definitely not going to like it, because it's, it's, especially with comedy. I think she thinks that the comedies that I like are not comedies that she's going to like, which might be the case in some instances. But Bob's Burgers, how sweet is Bob's Burgers?
It's just amazing. I love it.
They're an adorable family.
Completely. And I love the looseness of the acting. You can obviously tell they're having a great time. And this moment, do you watch it, Hayley? You don't, do you?
I don't.
Okay, well, you should.
I do. That's exactly what my wife would say right there.
I do that. No.
You should.
No, not out of particular choice. It's just one that I've just not had time for yet, I suppose.
Well, you've got a lot of catch-ups to do. 12 seasons now, and you got.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Do you know? I think sometimes when it gets to that point, you just don't start, do you? Because you think
you're overwhelmed.
I can't.
That's true. So we will move on to Tuesday, and
good.
Let me.
Same thing.
That's great. That's great. Were you feeling better though? Obviously, you were better.
Every day I felt better. I didn't really feel sick after the third day, but I have asthma, so I mean, every now and then I still kind of have to. I've got a tickle. I mean, it's still it definitely took.
That's fine.
Feel sorry for me.
Yeah, please, sir. May I have some more? I'm trying to think if Tuesday was any different. Well, actually, Tuesday was a little different, because by then I was at least feeling. I knew that Wednesday was going to be my coming out day, my debutante day.
Yeah, the butterfly day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, I mean, the same sort of thing. Wake up, wait for my wife to leave, and then get up and feed the dogs and go through the whole thing. Have some breakfast, do a few interviews, and then in the afternoon, I had open, and I decided to take the two bigs, our two larger dogs, on the trails. Now, in Boise, Idaho, where I live, the foothills are just filled with these amazing single track trails for mountain biking and for hiking and for running. And so I took the boys. I put the big dogs. They go insane when they realize they get to go somewhere. And the little dogs are so pissed off. They're so angry. It's like, you're serious. You're going to take them. Really. And the reason we do it is because they need the exercise. The little dogs, I mean, you can walk them around the block and they're tired, but these guys, they really, if they don't get out. So put them in the back of the car and they're just insane. And the closer you get to the little parking area where, to get on the trails, the closer you get, the louder they get. And they just, by the time we pull into I pull into the parking lot with the dogs, I actually have earplugs that I put in my ears because they stay one head here from the back, screaming at me, just wow. Oh, and I'm sure they're saying, this is fun, but it sounds like we want to kill everyone. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And so then I get out, I take the earplugs out, I put on I've got some of those Bose glasses that have speakers in them, so I can listen to music and still hear everything else. It's so great. Very cool. So I put those on, I get out of the car and they're just going insane. They're still in the back of the car and I push the little button. I've got one of those doors that goes zzz, and it opens. And as it opens, they just fly out. They always hit their heads. They will not wait for it to open all the way. They bang their big dumb dog heads and fly out barking and screaming, and people just sort of they're terrified. No, they're not really terrified because they're dog owners too. They know it's they're not going to get hurt. But for a second, it seems like these are attack dogs, and then they run up to people or other dogs and they just, sniff butts. Basically, that's what they do. They're just
overexcitement, isn't it? They get overstimulated. They get
so excited. So we went for a lovely hike. It was the first time I'd gotten out and moved around in 8 days, and it was fabulous. The foothills are gorgeous. We have beautiful views and mountains and these wonderful little trails, and the mud had all dried up. So it turned out to be a really, really lovely hike. And then you get back in the car. Actually, as we come back down the trail and they see the car, I push that button again from, 20, 30 yards away. I push the button, it opens, and they go and hop in the car. And I close it. It's like Batman. It's like
great, isn't it?
The Bat Cave opening and closing. It's really cool. And then we drive home, and they're a hell of a lot more quiet on the way home because they're exhausted. They've run around. They've beaten the hell out of each other, and then I get a little peace and quiet for a while.
Yeah, they need wearing out. That's the only thing. Big dogs, they definitely do. My wife has been after a Newfoundland for ages.
Oh,
and it's I say to her, it's like having another person in the house.
A person that poops on the floor and
exactly.
And drools a lot.
Another person who poops on the floor.
I have 3 of those.
Yeah, Haley
has dogs.
Yeah, Haley has 3 children, don't you? So you know exactly.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
They are. I mean, I have a 22-year-old daughter, and I've been there. I did that. I changed diapers. I was a full-time hands-on dad. As long as I wasn't on the road, I was there, and that was great. I loved it, but I was done, and now I have 4 dogs.
4 dogs.
And oh my God, And I instead of changing diapers, I go out in the yard and pick up poop. That's my love.
With
that.
4 dogs, I imagine that does mount up quite quickly, Curtis.
Oh my gosh!
And when you say mount, you do not realize how there are mountains of poop in my yard. Yeah, it's a full-time job.
Oh,
and,
it's terrible, isn't it? But I mean, it's got to be done. It's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
I'm not going to mention what I normally mention, Haley, at this point when we talk about dogs, because with the pug, obviously you have to do the anal glands. I've mentioned it. I'm sorry, Haley. I'm sorry.
It does it every time.
You express your pug's anal glands personally?
We've tried. It's very difficult.
Pay someone to do it, Alex.
Oh yeah,
pay someone to do it for you.
Absolutely, no, that's not something. I mean, I have to admit. I mean, we're not getting to Friday, but we're never getting to the end of the week. But at least we're having fun.
We'll do a speed run in a minute.
But I've never done that. I know, we just have the either the vet when they go to the vet or they all need grooming. They all have hair that grows a lot, so they need grooming. But occasionally we will have some issues. And I'm gonna make your anal gland thing seem small. Well, first of all, there's sometimes when they're just basically the hair, they don't get a haircut for too long, and all that hair kind of gets all sort of bunched up together, and then that causes a bit of impaction. And so having to go back there with a pair of scissors and try not to cut their little bunghole while you're cutting the hair and whatever poop has ended up back there, that is not fun. And I have done that. But even worse than that is that my little Yorkie poo, he's about 5 pounds, and he looks like a little white poodle angel. He just has the sweetest face. Anyone who meets him, they love him. He jumps up into their arms and he's adorable. This dog is a nefarious humper. He humps stuffed animals, preferably a little stuffed dog or bear that's exactly his size. If he can find just the right one, he goes into the other room with it, away from all the other dogs, and you'll come in and he is whining, dining, and romancing this stuffed animal. And that's gross enough. That's bad. And I was like, hey, really? Seriously, get a room. But sometimes that causes his little fella, his little red lipstick to get stuck out.
Of course.
Especially when the hair has grown too long, when he hasn't had a haircut.
I know where this is going.
And so it stuck out, and one time I have to tell you, it got stuck out so far. I thought I was on the set of Alien. I mean, it was the most, I have never seen anything like this. It was just things, it's like from that scene from Blade Runner. I've seen things you people have never dreamed of.
Lipstick.
I've seen dog's lipstick stuck out so far. It was terrifying. So what do you have to do when that happens? You have to fix it. You can't.
You fix that.
Well,
the first time it happened, I took it to a friend's house. I took my dog to a friend's house. This woman who's a friend of ours. She's a former EMT, and she's just like, oh yeah, whatever. You just do this, blah blah blah, and it's done. But you have to physically manipulate a dog's wee wee. It is not fun. Although now it's like I've done it so many goddamn times. Holy mackerel! Sorry. My phone just rang, and it rang in my headphones. Did you hear that?
No, but it's fine.
Okay, good. All right. Well, hopefully they'll go away. Please.
I can edit. It's all right.
I'm just going to turn this off. Power slide off.
Yeah, I'm never getting a dog. Oh,
so you have to get that thing back, and it's a matter of, and because it's got long hair, it's kind of gone down inside the, I'm going to say it, foreskin or whatever. It's just awful. And then and so you're just like basically kind of pleasuring your dog with your hand. It's not nice. It's awful. And at the end, he doesn't like it. He's like, I'm embarrassed.
Oh, no, I'm sure he hates it. I'm sure he hates it, Curtis. Come on.
Just leave my... Yeah, right. He's like, hey, I'm going to do this. I tricked Dad into touching it again. Anyway, so then at the end of it, once it's finally fixed, and the lipstick has gone back into its case, then you still have to cut that hair so it doesn't happen again. So there I'm holding my dog in one hand with a tiny little pair of scissors, and he's like, don't do it, Dad, don't. And I'm trying not to cut the end of his dick off with these scissors. And oh my God, that's what a Wednesday can be like. It might not have been there, or this might not have been this Tuesday, but it was hardly too often.
I think, I feel like that does beat anal glands. I think, yeah.
I win.
I think
I came here to win, and I won.
Yeah,
winner.
Well done, but at what cost? So we move. So we're going to move on to Wednesday. I am determined actually to get through this week. We're going to do this. So,
tough guy.
Wednesday.
All right, so Wednesday is my debutante day. I realize
you're out.
I realize that I'm going to be able to get out, and but it's officially the night. It's 10 days since your first symptoms.
Symptoms,
and it was actually sort of the Sunday before that. In the middle of the night, I started to feel a tickle in my throat. But my wife says, "Well, you can." You're fine. You can come out. So I go down into the kitchen in the morning, and I notice that she's standing pretty far away from me. Still. So I got out of the room. I got to be in the same room with her, but it was sort of like, I could tell she was a little, let's work into this. Let's see. I'll see you after work. So we sort of blow kisses across the kitchen and goodbye. And that's fine. And then I go back to my usual thing. I had yet another 5 or 6. Actually, Wednesday I had back-to-back interviews for about 4 hours with a new record. You do that, and it's great. I mean, to get to talk about my record to 8 different people in different markets all around the world is so great. That's one of the nice things of the pandemic for me has been that I do a lot more interviews now because people are accepting of an online interview. Whereas before, if you weren't in town, if you weren't there to do it, they wouldn't interview you. And now it's like, oh yeah, we do this all the time. So I'm getting a lot more opportunities to talk about the record. Really, so I do a bunch of those. And then my wife comes home from work, and I finally, for the first time in 10 days, I get a big fat hug and a kiss. And it was just fabulous. And she says, this is what she says. She says, "Oh, your beard is at that horrible prickly state." Like, no!
I'll be right back. I'm having a shave. I'll be right back.
I swear to God, I ran up the stairs, and she didn't even know what I'd done. I think she got a call, and I just zoomed up the stairs and came back down about 20 minutes later, and and she didn't notice at first, and then I just walked up and gave her a kiss, and she goes, "Oh, you shaved? Oh," and then and all was forgiven.
It's amazing the lengths we'll go to just get attention, isn't it, Curtis?
Oh, I'd shave anything. Just tell me what to shave. Just give me a kiss. Damn it. Not you.
Your
not
dog.
you.
Shave the dog. Shave the dog. Shave the dog.
I'll shave the dog.
Yeah.
How's
Solve
this working
problems.
for you? So that's great. I'm glad you were, back-to-back interviews, doing this back-to-back. I can't imagine, Curtis.
It's something I've done for the last 30 years. You get used to it. I mean, it's hard to do on a gig day. That's the only time where I feel kind of annoyed by it is when I have to then turn around and sing,
of course.
To have, I mean, I'll do it because I want to sell records. I want to sell tickets in particular, but yeah, talking about my music and talking about myself, I'm pretty good at it. I don't mind so much.
No, that's a good thing. That's a
as
good
long
thing.
as as long as the questions are good and as long as they have a sense of humor, it can be a
makes
little
big difference.
I've done some odd things this time. I mean, there are a lot of podcasts that you've never heard of out there now. And
yes,
I think
we're one of them. Hello.
Well, I've heard of you. I heard of you on Twitter. That's how we got here. Damn it.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of, and some, you two are funny and smart and presentable and you're good at, there are some that are just like, wow, I'm really talking to this person. And they're sweet and they like my music and they want me on their show, but it's for the Gulf Coast of, 2 towns in Central Florida. And it's this guy who, it's like, we used to have this thing called cable access. I don't know if they even ever had that.
I know the thing. Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, it's like a really homespun local sort of a thing. I've done quite a few of those on this one. And quite frankly, I'm grateful. I mean, they're going to get to somebody. There are going to be some people that they buy my record that wouldn't even have known that I was alive, So,
Exactly.
but there have been some rather, some strange comic moments.
I guess you've done kind of like a shotgun effect kind of interview technique here. Just gone right. I'll do that. I'll do that.
Whatever it takes. Yeah,
and
at this
we
point,
appreciate it.
I'm glad that my one or two pieces of the buckshot that came out of the shotgun hit you too and got me on the show.
It's great. Right. I mean, to be honest, this podcast has only come about because of the ease of talking to people over, doing it from home. The guests I've had on this podcast have just been, I'm so bewildered by it. I mean, this week alone, I did an interview the week with Mike McShane, from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And
wow.
And that's just been, so it's been
that's great.
You and him. And where next? I
don't know. Who's funnier though? Come on, who's funnier? Did he talk?
Oh my God! Well,
did he talk about his dog's dick? I don't think so.
No, he talked about his dog doing shits in a golf course. And I've just realised that I'm going to be releasing these in reverse order, so that's a little sneak preview of everyone who's listening to this.
Oh dear, that's right. That's right.
But yeah, so where are we? Thursday. We're going to do this. We're going to get through it. We're going to do this.
Thursday. Well, Thursday, suddenly I'm back to normal. Thursday, I'm able to get out. I still haven't had a decent workout since, I like to ride my bike. Normally on a Thursday, I'll tell you what I would normally do on a Thursday. I'd get on my mountain bike and go up into the trails and disappear, amongst the sagebrush and the whistle pigs and the coyotes. It's really beautiful here.
Wow.
But Thursday more is just along the lines of, I cleaned that bedroom. That was, the COVID central. So I have this spray bottle of rubbing alcohol, of isopropyl, or however you say it. And okay. I cleaned every surface with alcohol. I don't know how good that is on a painted on a painted closet wall door, but I wanted to make sure that all remnants of that British COVID, because that British COVID,
it's the worst.
COVID. It's the worst, mate. It is the worst.
So there was
it goes right for you.
Yes, it does. It's it'll call you a. Oh, never mind. I won't.
Yeah,
say
it will.
That.
It will. No, it will.
I won't go that far. And then, so yeah, mostly a lot of laundry, a lot of catching up, a lot of getting back to being a normal human being, and really thinking about. I mean, I have to start packing as well. So because I'm leaving again on Monday, I was home for 2 weeks. The plan was to spend a lot of time with my wife and my dogs, and instead I sat in a room for 10 days by myself because on Monday I then get in the following Monday, I get in a giant metal tube and fly back across the Atlantic and land in Edinburgh and start my 3.5 week tour of the UK.
Yeah.
So,
amazing.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's,
I was going to bring that up. I mean, you said yourself you're an Anglophile, so I mean, you must love being over here.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it.
Aww, that's cool.
What sort of thing do you really crave that you only get here that you don't get anywhere else?
Oh, a few things. I mean, first of all, a real British ale.
Okay.
We know how to make beer now. We never did before. You know, I mean, we it was always a joke. You know what do Budweiser and having sex in a canoe have in common?
Yeah,
they're both fucking near water. That's sort of a thing. And that's true. That old style of the American beer. It's terrible.
Yeah.
When I see people drinking American beer in Britain or Ireland, I just want to shake them and say, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
And they go, "We're on holiday."
Yeah. But going to a pub and having a proper pint of IPA with 3.9% alcohol. That's the thing that's great.
Session ale.
We now make good beer over here. We have great IPAs, but they all have 6-7% alcohol.
Ooh,
it's insane.
Much.
Yeah, and they all do. You can't get. It's very seldom. I mean, they do make some session, but they end up being like 5%. It's still above what a proper British ale. British ale is usually 3.9 or 4.1, kind of around that. And it's perfect. I love it. I love, I mean, I could go through the different ones I love, but so that's the first thing that I crave and I can't wait to get to. The second thing, absolutely, is a curry. I've never been to India or Pakistan, so I don't know what a curry is like there. But a curry in the UK anywhere is a million times better than anything you can get in the States, except for maybe the one-offs. There's a little street in New York City in the East Village on 6th Street where you can get good curry, but not like a proper local.
Over here they're all over the place. I mean, you can't move not hitting a curry. So
it's so great, and I don't like the fancy ones.
Guy? Are you a korma guy, or are you a?
I'm more of a. I'm not a vegetarian, but I really love like a sag paneer, and I love
that's my favorite.
Bindi. Like a bindi bhaji or a bindi. I just had an amazing curry when I was in London. As I was contracting COVID, I had a beautiful bindi thing. I think it was bindi masala, and it was fantastic.
Lovely.
It was at a place called Punjab in Covent Garden. It's really it's been there for decades, and it never gets worse. It's just the food stays top notch. It's very good, and it's affordable. It's not like one of those fancy places. So a curry for sure. A curry, and then the third thing would be a cream tea. A scone. Scone with clotted cream and jam. That for me, you just can't get. I mean, the things they call scones here are just it's embarrassing. It's crazy.
It's insulting.
I don't even want to know.
No, you don't. You don't. There's no. But if you said clotted cream to someone in the United States who's never been to they would be like, oh God, that sounds horrible.
That sounds gross.
Just the word clot, it just doesn't really go over well over here.
But to be fair, it's not the best word, is it? To be honest,
but I think that's what. It keeps people away from it, which it leaves more for the rest of us who know how really good it is. Now tell me this: how do you when you have a scone?
Cream
a scone
first.
or a scone. Cream first,
Cream
and
first,
then the jam. Same with you.
It's just
Yes.
science. It's science, though, isn't it? Because you can't.
It really is. It is. I am so
work the other way.
No, and yet people in Cornwall would string you up. They would hang you from the lanyard or the pet, whatever they call that.
There's a Devon way and a Cornwall way, isn't there? Cornish way.
I mean, regardless of how you did it, they'd still probably string you up.
They probably would, just because. Well, we're pirates. We're pirates down here.
Exactly.
We're all pirates. They talk like pirates in Cornwall, don't they?
They do right here. They do. I remember when we went to Cornwall, there was a sign that really tickled me. It was in the shop, and it was the front window, and it was their open sign, but it just said, "We be open, we be," and I loved that. I loved that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we're pirates and we be open, we be.
Yeah, we be. You are.
I love that. I just they find it's one tiny little corner of Britain that actually uses the consonant R.
Oh, yes,
the rest of you just let it go to waste. You don't use it at all. You just you neglect the R. Down there, they say they're R's.
They do.
That wasn't very good, but
no, it was all right. It was all right. I've heard a lot worse. I've heard a lot worse, my dear. I've heard a lot worse. You should do have you heard of the Wurzels?
I've heard, but I know what is that?
They sing in that accent, and they did like I am a cider drinker, and
so I guess I haven't heard of them.
But I've got a brand new combine harvester. I'll give you the key. Now you should listen to them. They're brilliant. You should do a jazz version of their songs.
Yeah.
A jazz version of a Wurzel version of.
I'll send you a link on Twitter, Curtis.
I would appreciate
We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen.
Good.
Well,
teach me.
Are we running out of time? I think we might be.
I'm fine if you are.
Excellent. Oh, that's good. Then we're going to get through it.
I've got nothing.
Thank you.
I've got nothing after this. Thank goodness.
Well, we will continue then because that's good. I always say it takes an hour to record this, but it never bloody does.
No,
that's a blatant lie.
Well, especially if you've got someone who will not shut the fuck up. So.
Well, no, I like that.
Yeah, that's perfect. We love it.
So what did we get to? We got to.
Well, we did basically kind of did Thursday.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Friday then. If anything happened.
Isn't that today?
We're doing this week. Okay, that's fine. Normally it's last week, but yeah, we're just...
Sorry. So no, that's fine. I can just tell you that.
What are you doing today, Curtis?
Well, today I'm doing you, baby. Sorry. I am.
You're right, Ellie.
I had.
Very well, thanks. having a lovely
dear.
time.
Sorry about that, hon. This morning I had the great misfortune of having the alarm go off at 8:15. My sweet wife, lying next to me in bed, was able to stay in bed and stay warm and sleep in, which was good for her because she works her ass off for taking care of homeless people. She's a good soul, and so it was good for her to catch up. I got up and I did. I every morning, if I'm not, the one who has to hide out in the bedroom, I usually tend to get up, go down the stairs, put on a kettle of water, open the back door so that the little one can get out. She refuses to use the doggy door because she's queen bitch of our home, and she will not. She's like, I know how to use it, but I'm certainly not going to if you're going to open the door. So I open the door for her, and I wait for I make my tea. I let the dogs back in. I then have to, because Boo, the little queen bitch of the house, only she has no teeth except for a couple of molars in the back now. They've all been removed because she didn't take care of her teeth. It's just that she just did not brush and floss like she should have. And so she has to have soft food. The other dogs still eat the kibble, and so I'll open a can of soft food and scoop out a little bit and put it on a plate, and I have to microwave it because often it will have been in the fridge, and so I've got to microwave it just enough to get it to room temperature for the queen. Because she will not eat it cold. She is like, no, I'm sorry. This is not for me. And so I put it in the microwave for 11 seconds. And I'm kind of going back and forth between maybe pouring my tea and getting that out. I get that out. It's on a plate. The other dogs are going insane because they know she gets the good dog food, and they have to eat that crappy, crunchy stuff.
Of course.
we have a little half bath just off of the kitchen. So I open the half bath. I put that on the floor of the kitchen. All 4 dogs are just behind me watching, and the little Boo goes between my legs into the bathroom or into the half bath. I close the door. That's her. That's where she eats. It's a ridiculously weird ritual. I've still got the spoon in my hand that I scooped it and mixed it up with. So it's got some dog food on it, some of the delicious nectar of the gods food, and the other 3 dogs take turns licking the spoon like like mom just made frosting for the cake or something. It's like, can I lick the spoon? So every morning this happens. So this morning that's what happened. They did all that, and then Boo lets me know when she's done with a very angry and it's like, I'm finished.
There you go.
Oh, and they all ran outside. They assume. Oh my God! I can see them going through the. They're going to bark for a while, but that's all right. You get a taste of my life.
This is normally when we're recording. I've got the pug underneath the computer desk, so there's always like a constant snore going through the podcast. Sometimes
pugs do have. They've got that thing where they don't quite. It's hard for them to get the.
They're rubbish.
Well, they're rubbish. They're built incorrectly. How they survive, we don't know, but goddamn, they're cute.
Yes, they are.
So that's it. So then I let Boo out. I then pour my tea. I wait for that to steep while the other dogs are still looking at me like, why does she get the good food and we have to eat this crap? Eventually, they go back to the kibble and they eat that, and I pour my tea, do my milk, and bam. So that happened. And then I had to plug in all my stuff because in order to do these interviews, when my wife is going to be coming and going, I have to come down to the basement. This is my music room. And so I have to come down to the basement, and I have to run a line, an Ethernet cable from the router way upstairs, the modem router way upstairs, all the way down, because doing Wi-Fi, it's not as good. It works so much better. And I've learned that from my I have a live stream show that I do every Wednesday, which I missed that on Wednesday, didn't I? I didn't get to tell you about Wednesday.
You didn't tell us about
pretend
that.
like
that's right, actually.
All right, quick. Yeah. Let's go back to Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. UK time, I have been doing a live stream show called Songs from My Kitchen. And this Wednesday, when I got to finally come out of my hole in the ground where I was hiding away with my COVID, I got to do my show again for the first time in 3 weeks. So I did Songs from My Kitchen, and Songs from My Kitchen is me standing in my kitchen. We have a really beautiful kitchen. We're very lucky. Big, beautiful range and oven and a couple of sinks. I mean, it's, I never guessed that I would live like this. This is just, it's obscene how nice this kitchen is. And I stand in front of the kitchen behind me, and the dogs are in the room. Sometimes they're fighting at my feet, and they, often I'll start the show by giving them treats. If they're not sleeping, they'll hear the theme song music come on, and they'll say, "Oh, this is the time when we get fed." So
it's a Pavlov's dog thing, isn't it?
It is indeed. It's Pavlov's dog, and so we start the show usually with some dog treats, and Hank will do a little dance. He's the poodle, of course, and then I'll say, welcome, glad you're here, and sing. And I basically, for an hour, I sing my songs, I sing other people's songs. I play my guitar. Every now and then I'll play a little bit of saxophone, but it doesn't really, it doesn't make all that much sense to play sax by yourself. However, it does make the dogs howl, which is kind of funny. So they sing along a bit, and people watch me from all over the world. I've people watching from Hungary and from Poland, and obviously from the UK and Germany and all these places, and all over the US. And it's become something that I love to do. It didn't end up becoming an income stream of any great resonance. Unfortunately, I did not make any money for about a year and a half during COVID, but I was able to keep in touch with people, and it forced me to learn a lot of songs I never really knew how to play on guitar. I can play guitar and sing, but it's usually just to write songs. and to play a handful of songs. But I learned songs from my early records that I I haven't played since 1992. And here I am, playing these songs that I was like, oh, that was a pretty good song. Yeah, I'd like that. So, and then I do a lot of weird covers. I did a cover of "Creep" by Radiohead. Curtis Stigers singing "Creep" is
fantastic.
It's a different thing. That was what happened on Wednesday. I'm sorry I missed that, but
that's fine. I like this time traveling aspect. I've just had a visitor.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It has arrived. So
beautiful. Now, who is this?
This is Pippa.
Pippa, she is gorgeous. Oh, yes. That is a face. That's a face made for podcasts.
Isn't it
there.
just? She's featured in so many episodes, just, unintentionally. She just appears.
Oh, she is gorgeous. She is beautiful. I'm tempted to go get all of my dogs, but I don't know. You'll have just watch my live stream instead. They tend to take it over occasionally. Sometimes I'll be playing. What's that?
Yeah, I did actually watch the Wednesday one.
Did you? So you knew.
Yes, I saw. There's a little moment where one of your dogs was walking out, and you just said, "Are you going?" And she just turned and looked at you. It's at the side eye. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm going. What does it fucking look like? Yeah.
What's it to you?
Yeah.
So
they run the place. Anyway,
yeah,
go on. Sorry.
They do. I mean, she's queen of this place, definitely.
Sure.
So we're gonna move on to the weekend, and then we're gonna wrap this kitty right up. The weekend.
Well, I'm just gonna have to time travel ahead then.
Oh, please do.
That mostly.
Oh yeah, it's
this weekend. I will be packing.
Packing your bags.
Oh, what a reference! Oh, the fast show.
I know, fast show reference from an American.
Very good.
Goodness. Are you a fan, Curtis? Are you a fan?
Oh my God, yes. I grew up. I grew up as a massive Monty Python fan, so I have been a fan of British humor since I was a kid. And then when I started touring, I would mention that to my driver or my tour manager, and he'd say, "Oh, well, have you seen Blackadder?" So my first tour, '92, I sat up in the lounge of my double-decker sexy tour bus and watched the entirety of Blackadder. I didn't really like the first season. He didn't.
No, it doesn't find its feet, does it?
No, he didn't. He didn't really find the character until the second season. But the 2, 3, and 4, Jesus, I loved all of those people. Became a huge fan of Fry and Laurie. I mean, I met Hugh Laurie a couple of years ago, and I think he thought I was going to be a fan because of House. But I was like, yeah. Oh my God, you're Hugh Laurie. Say something funny. I just love him. But we got into. On the road, we got into the fast show in a huge way. I mean, but mostly today, I will mostly be eating. I'm afraid I was very, very, very
Rolly Birkin is a fantastic character. We actually, I'm a huge fast show fan and a huge fan of like Vic and Bob and all the rest of it. And we actually. Previous guest was Charlie Higson on our podcast.
Oh wow!
So if you can find that episode, it's very worth listening to. Because
I will listen. Yeah, he's amazing. He's done so many different things. He writes books for kids. Teen books, and he's cool. I was lucky enough to be on Shooting Stars.
I was going to ask you about it, Stigers.
Mr. Stigers. Yeah, they spelled my name wrong. It was so beautiful. I did not know the show before that day. Luckily, they showed me a videotape of the show. They showed me Larry Hagman on there, actually, which was the right one to do. So
he had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, so I could see how not to react to them if I wanted to, retain any self worth whatsoever. So when I got out there, I knew what to expect, but I still didn't know what to expect. I got hammered. First of all, I mean, I sat next to between. Ulrika and Johnny Vegas.
Oh yeah, you didn't stand the chance, did you?
No.
And we just, they just kept handing me beers, and I had such a good time. And that was the first time I'd ever seen Matt Lucas. He did that famous on that episode. He did his, legendary Peanuts.
Oh yes, it was that one, wasn't it?
I was I was sitting right there as it was going on, and just like with my mouth agape at how weird and brilliant and hilarious it was.
Yeah.
And so years later, I connected with Bob Mortimer on Twitter. Actually, because I got in a bit of a spat with his podcast co-host. He has that show. About football.
Atletico Mints.
Yeah, and I can't think of the guy. Andy, it's Andy, right?
Andy Dawson,
somebody.
Is it Andy Dawson? Is that his name?
And he came at me on Twitter with something about how much I sucked, how much my music sucked, and he had to put up with my music when he was the assistant manager at a stereo shop back in the early 90s. And I wrote back, "Oh, well, hopefully you've been promoted to manager by now." And
excellent.
And took him down. And then apparently his followers hate him, so they kept piling on him. And then he came back at me again and said, "Well, actually, no, I'm a co-host of with Bob on Bob Mortimer's show. I have a show." And I wrote back, "Say hi to Bob. Being on Shooting Stars was one of my favorite experiences in show business." And at that point, he was just like, "Oh."
What have I done?
But Bob came to my show right before COVID. I think 2 or 3 years ago, he came to one of my shows with his wife and hung out backstage, and he was it was so exciting
brilliant.
to meet him. He was such a great guy.
He is my hero. He is my comedy hero. I don't say that lightly.
Genius. The guy on the train, the man on the train or whatever he called. Holy crap, he's so good. And I still have never actually seen an episode, speaking of Fast Show, that's what brings me. I still have never actually seen an episode of the fishing show with Paul Whitehouse.
Oh, it's the best.
That's good. Yeah,
because we don't have real access to it. It's only on, you have to. So I'm still waiting for it to show up on BritBox or one of these.
It is so. It's just a wonderful program. It's another one of those where,
that's what I hear. It's sublime, right? Yeah,
and
the two of them. Oh, the two of them, and the way he talked, Bob. I read Bob Mortimer's. Well, actually, I listened to Bob's thing first. His memoir. And it was fantastic. And the way he talked about Paul Whitehouse. I actually tweeted, I want to have a friend when I grow up. I want to have a friend like Paul Whitehouse is to Bob Mortimer, because he came over when he'd had the open heart surgery or whatever, and he said, "You look like a bucket of shit."
Yeah, that's
something to that effect.
What I loved in that memoir. There's one thing I really loved in that memoir. It was his tale of the Brits, where Jarvis Cocker got arrested.
Yes.
When we heard it, I was like, yeah, of course Bob Mortimer was there. Of course he was involved at some.
He was stirring the pot. Yeah, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about Jarvis getting arrested until after the fact. But I love that. I love
showing his bottom to Michael Jackson, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, he was, pretty much.
It's funny. I almost got arrested for annoying Jarvis Cocker. Not really, almost got arrested, but I did annoy the shit out of him once at the pub at Top of the. God, I can't say it. I annoyed the hell out of him. I walked up to him in the pub at Top of the Pops. They had a pub at that studio, and he was standing there, and I just walked up and said, "Hey, this is wild, isn't it?" And he was just like, why are you talking to me? And I was, he knew who I was. At that point, I'd already had my hits and all, but he has such a kind of a poker face that he just looked at me like, "Wow, you're really coming up and talking to me." Eventually, we spoke and he was nice, but at first I could just tell he was like, "I'm not sure it's good for my reputation to be talking to you."
Oh, how rude!
But
how very rude.
Anyway, we went way off the map here. Who knows? I'm going to be packing, is what I'm saying. I'm going to be packing for my tour, and hopefully, cuddling and hugging and kissing my wife and
get it all out before you. Yeah, well, you can. Absolutely. You got to make up for lost time. Yeah. So you're starting Perth, isn't it?
Yes, Perth.
Perth.
I'm not sure if by the time this airs it'll be past us, but basically,
this is coming out on Monday, so it'll be.
Good. Good. So Perth on Wednesday the 16th, Kilmarnock, or how I used to say it before somebody straightened me out, the next day, and then all over the place. Where if you just go to CurtisStigers.com, the tour dates are there. You can buy tickets. We're fun. We are a good show. We're not what if you think you're too cool for my music because you're thinking of the guy with the long hair and the waistcoats back in the early 90s, I swear you're not too cool. You will have a good time. I have amazing musicians. We play cool solos. We play edgy, dark songs. We also play I Wonder Why, but it sounds different. It doesn't sound like the early 90s. It sounds like now. It's a jazz concert. So on the other end of things, if you're a pop fan that just wants to hear old pop music, we do play jazz, but we play jazz that you can sing on your way home. We I mean to entertain. That's my goal, is to keep people interested at my shows, and I communicate. Yeah, no, it's definitely not smooth elevator music.
It's
man.
not that. No, I got told that it's not smooth at all. It's crunchy.
It is. It's crunchy.
Peanut butter.
It's extra crunchy. Actually,
extra crunchy jazz. Well, yeah. That's. I wish you all the best with that tour. I think it's going to be amazing. And if you were coming anywhere near Kent, I'd come and see you. But
I know we're not this particular one. We're not. I will get there. I keep touring. My life is one long tour with, I basically just vacation at home. That's my life is basically in a tour van driving around the UK.
What a way to be!
And then I go home. I come home and I hang out with my wife and my dogs, and I ski and I mountain bike. That's my vacation. So
I love it.
So I will be back. I'm actually in the UK again in June, supporting Barry Manilow, which is a very.
I saw that.
I'm actually quite excited about that. I opened for him once before. It's been about 17 or 18 years ago. He is an old friend of mine. We were on Arista Records together. He basically was Arista Records. The first hit that Arista Records, the first record Arista Records ever released was Mandy by Barry Manilow. And so he basically put them on the map. And over the years, he's said nice things about me in the press. People, they'll say, "What are you listening to?" "Oh, I like Curtis Stigers' jazz records." And so when I opened for him, his fans like me because he likes me, and they end up coming to my shows and buying my records.
Oh, perfect.
So there we go. I'm back in the arenas with Barry, baby. I'm playing at the O2. And
there was one question that I wrote down that I want to ask you, actually. And you brought it up because you brought Barry.
Sounds quite ominous, Alex.
Yeah, you've worked with some huge names in this is what I've written, so I'm going to do it as I wrote it.
Right.
Excuse me. You have worked with some huge names in the past: Eric Clapton, Elton John, Prince, Barry Manilow. The list goes on. Curtis, if you were to put them all in a room together and told them you must fight, who would win?
Yes, excellent.
Well, I have to say, beyond the shadow of a doubt, Prince would have kicked everybody's ass because he was the most.
That's what my wife Emily said.
Absolutely. Smallest of them by far, but Prince was incredibly fit. Apparently he was a great athlete. He was a great basketball player. And incredibly competitive. I think Prince would have, finished everybody off. Van Morrison can probably throw a punch. He grew up.
I didn't realize he was in there. Oh God. I've been carnage.
I'm getting ready to, but he wouldn't, he's not a kid anymore. So he probably would have, but he might have at least thrown a couple of kicks like he did in the Last Waltz, the band movie. But yeah, I would say Prince. The only other person I say would have a good shot because she is tough as nails and just maybe she would just scare everybody with her cool was Bonnie Raitt. I opened for Bonnie Raitt several times and adore her, idolize her. And I think people would they would underestimate how tough she is and then she'd take them down. But in the end, it's probably Prince. Yeah, it's probably Prince.
I mean, I've just got, now I'm picturing the scenario. It sounds a bit silly, but I'm just
don't know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm just imagining Curtis looking through a one-way mirror, just going, "Come on, come on,
go
Prince.
on, Barry, get back in there, Baz. Come on, you can do it. You write the songs that make the whole world sing. Kick Van Morrison's ass."
Well,
Excellent.
with that, I think we'll end.
I think we'd better. I think we'd better, because I'll go back to talking about my dog's wiener again, and then we're
I mean, that's the definite high point. Definite high point of the podcast.
Hopefully.
Curtis, it's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything else you'd like to promote? Get off your chest, confess to?
Just go to CurtisStigers.com. Go to CurtisStigers.com. Go to CurtisStigers.com. That's where you'll find out what I'm doing and when the tour dates are and about the new record. I've got a cool new bio on there that tells how I made the record and why I made the record. And buy my record if you don't mind, as opposed to just streaming it on that horrible behemoth evil that I don't even say the name of anymore. I mean, at streaming, it's very convenient. I stream too, but if I like an artist, I go buy their record, or I at least download it on iTunes. And then if I need to say, let's see, is she turned on now? If I need to say, Alexa, play blah, 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 then she does. But oops. It just made the dog bark.
That's very odd.
Anyway, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for letting me swear and talk about my dog's penis.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And if you ever fancy coming back on, please do, because
I will. I would love to.
You're a pleasure to talk to, and
I'll try to have a real week next time where I'm not like cloistered like I was.
I think you did well. I think you did very well. So, Hayley, anything to add?
Just one small thing, and it's an apology to you, Curtis.
Here we go.
From my younger self, I thought for a very long time that you were Marty Pello. Oh. I think I was only 10. I was only 10, so I think it was the hair. Yeah. It was the hair thing. You guys had kind of the same hair, so I'm really
Strangely
sorry about
enough, I thought I was Marty Pello for a while too, until his wife threw me out of the house. It was really weird.
Yeah, really awkward. Really awkward.
I only met Marty once. It was another surreal experience at Top of the Pops. I always loved those because you were just thrown in with all these different people. But I remember sitting next to Marty in the makeup room. He was getting hair and whatever makeup they put on you, and then Genesis walked in the room. All three of them walked into the room at the same. It was just the weirdest, surreal. Wow. It's like, how am I here? This is, because I'm a fan. So anyway, Marty, he's done all right. He's been through hard times like all of us, and he's come back punching and fighting, and he's a fine artist. So you are forgiven for thinking that I'm that, because what you didn't say is that you thought I was Michael Bolton, because I would have killed you for that. I would have come to your house. I would have come to your house with my dog's penis and done. No, I wouldn't. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gone there. That went too far. Now I've gone too far.
Oh, brilliant.
Goodness me.
And on that note.
So it has been, an absolute pleasure to have you on, Curtis. Thank you so much for doing this. My thanks to Curtis Stigers. My thanks to Hayley Pettit. I've been Alex Sivright, and that was the week. That was it.
Was it?
It was, apparently. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh,